Do you have trouble lighting your wood burning stove? Or do you want to know the best, most efficient and quickest way to light your stove? Well, in this video I'm going to share with you 5 tips that are going to help you get the most out of your wood burning stove. So the first place we're going to start, and the first tip for you, is to start with very well seasoned, very dry fuel. And in this case we're talking about wood. So with wood, it's a natural material which contains water. Now we want to reduce the amount of water in the wood as much as possible when we're burning it, because I don't know if you've ever tried to burn water, but it doesn't tend to go very well, so we want to avoid that inside the stove, because what will happen is when you're trying to burn wood that has a high moisture content, that's going to waste a load of energy and a load of heat trying to burn the water and essentially dry the wood inside the stove, whereas we want to do that process before it gets into the stove so we can make the most out of every log and all the fuel that we have. So really important, super dry wood, it'll light quicker, it will burn better, it'll give more heat, and just generally a better burning experience. So first place to start is always your wood. If you're not sure on the moisture content of your wood, say you had a wood pile delivered or you've dried your own and you're not sure if it's ready to burn, a really great tool is a moisture meter. These are really handy and a really good indicator of how much moisture is inside your wood. Top tip, split your wood first before you test the inside edge of the wood. If you test the outside edge, it's more likely to be dry because it's been out in the air and it's been air dried, whereas it's the inside of the log that is really, really important, and that's what we want to know. Next up, it's chimney sweeping. So why do we need to sweep our chimney in order to make our fire easier to light? Well, if your flue is blocked or restricted in any way, then that's going to mean that the gases can't flow and the stove can't work as it's designed to work. So by keeping those flue gases going up the chimney smoothly and free from blockages and restrictions, it means that it's going to be easier to light, the fire is going to be more efficient, and it just means you're going to get more heat, and it's just going to be an overall better burning experience. So, nice simple one, get your chimney swept. Okay, so this one is a bit of a cheat, a bit of a hack. It's just a really quick and easy way of lighting the fire without using any kindling. So if you haven't got time to chop kindling, or you just haven't got any in, and you get home from work and you just need to light the fire quickly, these are really great. So what I'm talking about is this little thing. So these are called Kindle Flamers. They're made by Certainly Wood, and they're really, really great tool. I'll be completely honest, I use these all the time now. I don't really use kindling because they're just so effective. So really simple, as I say, you don't need kindling, so you just need some logs. So you've got 2 logs set in the fire box there. You have your Kindle Flamer sat on top of those, then one more small log just on top there. Once you've lit that Kindle Flamer, just like a fire lighter, close the door, open your air controls, job done. No kindling, no chopping, simple. So another method we use for lighting stoves, and really, really effective method, is this top-down lighting, which you may not have heard of. So traditionally, when you think of lighting a fire, you think about your fire lighters in the bottom, then some kindling, and then some bigger logs on top. But we flip that upside down, and actually it's a much more effective way to get your fire going. So you can see here we've got bigger logs at the bottom, some slightly bigger stuff above, and then some smaller kindling and a fire lighter on the top. A little bit, without getting too technical, a little bit on why that is more effective, is what we want inside the flue is actually heat. So we want heat to be drawing cold air into the stove, feeding the stove with oxygen, getting the fire going, and then drawing up the chimney with the heat, because heat rises. So what this method does is actually uses the heat of the fire lighter and the smaller kindling to warm the flue, get the flue draft increased to a point that it's burning more efficiently, drawing more air in, and a better burn and a cleaner start. The other bonus of this one is, again, that you just set it and forget it. Once you've lit this, you've opened your air controls, you can leave it for half an hour, 40 minutes, depending on the stove and the fuel that you've got in there. So let's give it a go. So what will happen is, when we close the door, we want to open the air controls fully. And I'll do a full video on this again, but it's just a really simple way to get your fire going. Give that half an hour, you can have a roaring fire, ready to go. You can go off and make a cup of tea or whatever you want to do. Okay, last but not least, air controls. So all stoves have got various air controls. Some have got one, some have two, some have three. So every stove is a little bit different, so I can't give you an exact kind of breakdown of how to use every single stove, but there are some kind of standard generic kind of rules to follow when you're lighting your fire and how to use your air control to get the most efficient burn and start to your fire. So the first thing to say is that you want your air control fully open when you're starting off your fire. So all the way open to give the most amount of air. The reason for that is because you've got the least amount of heat, and therefore you want the most amount of oxygen feeding into that fire, and really increasing that temperature inside the firebox, and getting that burn going as quickly as possible, and getting the fire up to optimal temperature, up to operating temperature. So once we've done that, then we can start to temper it a little bit. Now this is the point that people tend to make a bit of a mistake, because perhaps we're used to central heating where it's on off. Stoves are not quite as simple as that, so they need a little bit more care and a little bit more tempering. People make the mistake of seeing kind of a flame and thinking, oh, that's hot, I'll shut the air control off. And that's kind of the worst thing you can do, because it'll just kill the fire, and then you'll be kind of scrabbling around trying to get it going again, and more kindling and mucking about. So to avoid that, you want to keep that air control open until you've got a really nice glow of red embers, because that's really where your heat is. Flames are not actually that hot, the heat is in those red embers at the bottom of the firebox. Once you've got that established, then you can start to kind of adjust and knock the air control down. Maybe not all the way initially, it's just a case of tempering it. Now, what I say to my customers all the time is that every day is going to be different. The wind conditions, the air pressures, what fuel you've got in there, all sorts of things are going to affect how much you need to control your stove and where the air control is going to sit on any particular day. You'll get to know your stove over time, and you'll know that some days, windier, cooler days, you'll perhaps not have to have as much air going in once the fire's going, and then later on you'll be able to turn it back up again if you need to, and if you've got days where the draw is not quite as good, then you might need a little bit more air just to get it boosted and get it going. So it really is vital that you get your air intake correct on your stove. As I say, it's one of the biggest mistakes that we see. Wet wood, which we've covered, and misusing the air controls are two really simple things actually that make a huge difference. So yeah, have a play, and err on the side of hotter rather than cooler. So I would say, read your manual, your instruction manual that you get with your stove. It will give you a detailed, or should give you a detailed breakdown of how best to use the air controls on your specific stove. And it's really important to take that time. Once you've got the hang of it, once you've got used to it, it's really simple. If you've got a good quality stove, then you can't go too far wrong. Okay, I hope you found that useful. So that should help you get started and get your fire started. So if you've liked this video, give us a thumbs up, follow us, give us a subscribe, and leave us a comment in the section below. See you next time.